Well, hold on.
Okay.
That was anticlimactic. Hold on. Supposed to have some fun music there. Ah.
This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions. www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.
This is Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio, and obviously I've not had any coffee this morning, starting us off that way. And I am super excited for y'all to be here today because I have someone that I have met online through my writers group. Didn't want to get that to get weird for us here early. But she has been so much fun to talk to back and forth, and I am super excited to tell y'all about her. Her name is Hilary Grossman, and she is a recovering corporate executive. She spends her mornings and weekends hanging out with her characters. She has an unhealthy addiction to denim and high-heel shoes, and she's been known to walk into walls and fall upstairs. She only eats spicy food and is obsessed with her cat, Lucy, and she loves to find humor in everyday life. She likens it to life to a game of dodgeball. And she tries to keep many balls in the air before they smack her in the face. She lives on Long Island, obviously writes comedy because that is a brilliant, brilliant bio. You can find her at Amazon author page as well as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and her website. So welcome to the show, Hilary. How are you today?
Good. How are you? I'm so glad to be here.
So I'm looking at, your covers, and I mean, it's just like, and then your whole description. I mean, you obviously have a lovely and fabulous knack for comedic timing. Has this always kind of been your vibe, or is this something that someone said, please go do something with all that wonderful humor, or what? How did you get into writing?
Got into writing. I always wanted to write. And then, I started a million books when I was in college, when I first graduated, never did anything with them. Then I read Jen Lancaster's book, Bitter is the New Black, and I discovered what a blog was. And I'm like, hey, this is my chance to try this. And I started my blog like days after reading her book. And then I'm like, wait, this is fun. I like this. And I just kept writing.
I love it. And how long ago did you start?
Probably about 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said you were a recovering corporate executive. What did you do?
The least likely thing for a humorous author. I was a CFO for a beverage importer.
Wow. Yes, that is rather anticlimactic for a comedy writer.
but that's why I needed to be a comedy writer. My days were just so super stressful and so much of a pressure cooker. I needed an escape, and my characters were always my escape.
Right. So tell me, what is something people don't know about the beverage industry? Because my brother works for a big grocery store chain, and so he tells us stuff that's the craziness of trying to get orders and different things that happen. What are some of the things that people don't realize that it takes to get the drink from the actual the actual creator to the shelves?
Oh, so much work. But if you think about it, it's the hardest business to really succeed in. Unlike other businesses, you could have a million books out there. And if someone is a reader, they're going to keep reading. And it doesn't matter if it's your book or 10 other people's books. But if you're drinking, it doesn't matter that all of a sudden there's 15 extra vodkas in the world. You're still going to have one or two cocktails. And it's just harder to break in. It's very, very difficult. And it's just such an incestuous industry. Everybody is connected and everybody knows each other.
Wow. Yeah, I guess that would be, and it's all about contacts too, because you know who's reliable and who's not, and like any business.
Exactly.
I think that would be part of it. Yeah. And so, do you incorporate some of that into your books, like that kind of craziness?
Not really yet. I'm still too much in the recovery stage, but I will be writing. I will be writing a book about an office. That's probably going to be my next project. But in Go On Girl, my main character is a CFO of a food importer. So it's little pieces. Like each one of my stories has something about me in there. Like I managed to be all of my characters in some manner, shape, or form. And my husband is not a reader, but he only reads my books because I force him. And he sits there on the exercise bike, and I'm next to him on the elliptical, and he's like, "Oh, I remember when this happened. Oh,
yeah.
I know this. So everything that kind of happens in our life somehow manages to make it into a book.
Right. Yeah, I write medical romance, and so I was a trauma nurse, critical care nurse for 10 years.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, I used to come home, and you need to vent to someone, right? And so at the time, I would just call my mom, and I'd say, just venting, and she'd just say, "You have to be making this up. There's just no way people do this." And I'm like, "Mom, I said, "Mom, you work in a law office. I mean, of course you know."
But I'm sure your mom had crazy stories because my mom worked in a law office for a million years, and she would come home with these stories. I'm like, "You're just making that up. That can't happen."
Yeah. People aren't that petty. It's like, they really are.
They really are.
See, I think, when was it, years ago, she was working for a probate lawyer when we lived in Houston, and there was this will that this woman had gone through and itemized every bit of jewelry she had. Like, so I give this tiny charm to this person, and this, and my mom was laughing because some of the jewelry that she was giving away was stuff she was expecting to inherit from her mother-in-law. So she was already, my mom's like, "Well, that's going to be interesting because we already know what the mother-in-law's will is." So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is hysterical.
Yeah. So I can only imagine what the reading was on that one. So yeah, that's a skit. That's a section for sure in a book. So, but yeah, it's. I think people don't. I think they love reading the craziness that people do, but I think sometimes people don't really believe that it's based on anything real.
But it all does. So the whole reason I started writing Go On Girl, which was the first book in the Forest River series, which I never intended to be a series, was because one of my closest friends, she messaged me one day, and she's like, "Hilary, if you saw what was going on with my phone about carpool, you could write an entire book about this." And I'm like, I call her up. I'm like, what's going on? And she tells me, I'm like, "You're making this up." She's like, "No." I'm like, "I'm writing this book."
Yeah. It's always the everyday stuff that gets people. It's never the grandiose stuff.
No, and it's really funny because I don't have children, but I write mommy lit. But every single story that happens to my ladies happens to one of my friends, and people reach out to me all the time and like, "No, this is in real life." I'm like, "Yeah, that happened to my friend Tanya. Yeah, that happened to my friend Heather. Yeah, that happened to Melissa." Because it's all true. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Real life is crazy.
It's amazing to me what people will focus on, and I think sometimes being in medicine and you've been in the corporate world and you kind of see the different approaches to the world. I think sometimes people will focus on what you and I would consider the most mundane, ridiculous angles, but it's what they can wrap their heads around because everything else is just too much.
Yeah. So true.
So it's sometimes, as much as frustrating as it is, I think sometimes too we have a tendency to just focus on what we can. And so but those of us that are on the outside looking in are going, "Are you kidding me? Why do you care what color shirt your kid wears in this picture? It's just going to go in a box."
I know.
The shirt, not the kid.
Right, the shirt. The picture. You're going to lose it in 5 minutes.
I know. It's always funny because, sometimes I'll show my kids the pictures, just, this is what, same kind of posing and backgrounds forever, and they're like, "Oh, wow," and then it's that, "Oh, wow," for like 5 seconds, and then it's like, "Oh, okay, well."
And then
that
it's like
exciting.
With everything with life, it's like the most important thing at that moment, and then it's forgotten 3 seconds later.
Right.
And like I love just like kind of sitting back and like observing and listening, going, "Oh my God, this is in real life."
Yeah. Well, and it's little details too. Like there was one time I was writing. I think it was my first book, and I needed to have a coffee shop scene, and an intermittent order being yelled out, and I was feeling incredibly unoriginal at the time, or that particular moment, and so I just said, I'm going to go sit at Starbucks for like 2 hours, and all I did was write down every order that was called out.
Really? That's
yeah. And it was so interesting because it was stuff like, what? You do that? People ask for this? It's like, venti half calf with half a pump of syrup, 2 Splendas, and, up, down, turn around, give a $1.
Oh, my God.
The craziest. I'm just feverishly writing all these things down. And of course, it made more sense instead of me just yelling, venti coffee with cream, 14
right,
times.
And it makes it so much more funny.
Yeah. And of course, the characters start going, who orders that? It's just, So it's just kind of a fun process. But yeah, reality is far funnier, I think, than anything that could be created.
I used to get my nails done at a salon where I used to live, and I would go there and I would have a notebook with me, the same thing you were doing, because there was always someone or someone's child that said the funniest things.
Oh yeah.
And half of those stories are in one of my books. Like the kid, this 8-year-old kid who needed a 10-minute massage because she was very stressed.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got go on girl, and then is it Mom Boss and then Mom Jeans? Or is it Mom Jeans and Mom Boss?
It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Go On Girl, they're all individual stories and they're all standalone. Okay. Go On Girl and Mom Jeans takes place at the same period of time, just focuses on different moms. Mom Boss is a prequel that goes back 5 years.
Okay.
And then I'm working on the 4th book in the series, Mom Rules, that will also be the same school year.
Okay. And then that comes out pretty soon, yes?
Yes. At the latest, August. I'm hoping that I could have it ready before. I'm halfway
So how long does it usually take you to write a book?
I'm still figuring that out. It took me a lot longer when I was in the corporate world because I would only have a little bit of time on weekends to write, so it would take me about a year to write. My last one I did in about 6 months.
Oh, wow, good.
Yeah,
good.
And the one thing about our new way of life is I don't leave my house pretty much, so I have a lot of time to write.
Right, yeah. And so y'all have been basically just working from home at this point.
Yeah, I've been going into my office a little bit over the last 2 to 3 months, but for the most part I've just been home. And, when you no longer have social life, there's a lot more time to write.
Yeah. I think, what has been kind of your go-to with this? Because that is a massive shift mentally for sure. When your creative energies are set up in your brain a certain way that, okay, I got to get these things done and then I can get to the writing or what have you. How have you kept that creative vibe going for yourself with all the insanity going on in general?
It was a real struggle. So I started Mom Boss right before the pandemic started. Okay. And then I was making great headway with it. And then everything kind of went crazy and anxiety was through the roof, and I could not touch. I couldn't think funny. Like, there was no funny in the world. I couldn't think funny. I couldn't write. And I just let it sit. And then maybe a month or so in, I turned back to it, and the same way when I was really super stressed at my old job and I would turn to my characters, I turned back to the crazy ladies of Forest River, and I'm like, you guys have to help me get through this. And I just, immersed myself in their story, and by getting in their heads, I got out of mine, which was just such a relief because I was able to focus on the petty drama of getting into the PTA and who likes who and is this kid popular enough, and stop thinking about the real world.
Yeah, and kind of dive into this other, Yeah, I have 4 kids, and I was going to be that mom. I had decided when they were little, I was going to be that mom who was, was going to read the books they're reading, and I was going to listen to the music they were reading, and I was going to be really, that mom that was always going to know and have the answers. And then, that didn't happen not because I didn't want to. It just, I think ideally, and I'm sure with your friends you've talked about this, ideally it sounds really good, but it's just just keeping them alive some days is just all you can do, and that they've been fed and they might get a bath, maybe. I used to laugh when our second child was little, because I'd be sitting on the chair breastfeeding her. Our toddler would be sitting next to me and be watching the Wiggles. That's when my husband would walk out the door to go to work, and then when he'd come home, I'd be sitting in the chair, breastfeeding her, sitting next to the toddler, watching the Wiggles. It was like, he kind of, I remember one time he's like, "Did you get up today?" And I just looked at him like, "Yeah, you don't even want to pick that thread right now, and it's exhausting when they're little. And then, they get more mobile, and then you got to make sure they don't eat like dog food, because, I give it to moms that, work at home and then work outside the home, and it's a lot. It's a big juggle. And there's dads doing it too, that are just like juggling the whole thing. And but there's always great stories with it. And I'm so glad your friends talk to you, because this is hysterical stuff. And we all know these people, and we've probably all been these people at some point or another. Yeah.
And that's the feedback that I get from people. They're like, "This is my story. Oh my God, I know these women."
Yeah. And I think too, it's also the beautiful part of it is to know when to say, you know what, this is crazy. Why am I trying to compete with a 3-year-old? This is insane. So I think the process of self-realization is always a good one too. So that's, you want the laughter too, but it's really great how you've woven all that in there, just to self-actualization, as it were, but to also laugh about it a little bit too.
And my ladies, they are very misbehaved. They're crazy, but they also have really good hearts. And when you get to know them, so my villain I have 2 villains in the series, and one of them is the PTA queen, mom boss. And so when I wrote that book, so many people reached out to me, and they're telling me, "I never thought I would love Jackie the way I love Jackie, but now I love her." And that's what I'm doing in this one. The other villain, she was made out to be a really bad woman, but the truth is completely the opposite. So I'm twisting the story, and I'm making someone that you hated for the last 3 books into be someone that you're just going to want to give a hug to.
Yeah.
I hug her all the time in my mind.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that we get to see the different perspectives, because, as we're sitting there watching this play out, it's like, oh, gosh, that's a terrible person. And then you find out who they are, like they really are. And that's a whole different thing. Yeah, it is.
Real life. Everyone has their own story, and the picture that you see of that person is really not necessarily that person. Like, I know people that I used to work with, they see me now, and now that I'm outside of that pressure cooker, they're like, "Are you the same person? Like, who are you?" I'm like, "Well, now you're meeting home Hilary, because home Hilary was completely different than work Hilary." And we have all these different faces and all these different masks that we wear all the time, but who are we really underneath? And that we're not always necessarily what we present, for whatever reason.
Right. So is this, how many more books in this series do you have, and then do you have plans for another series or a new direction of writing?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I really don't know. I was never planning on writing 4 books in this series, and when I finished Mom Boss, I wasn't really planning on writing the 4th one, but the character just kept on talking to me, saying like, "Hey, you need to tell my story. You need to tell my story." I talk to my characters a lot, but I think this is going to be the last one. So last night in the middle of the night, I woke up at 3:00 in the morning. I couldn't fall asleep, and I had an idea for book 5. So I really can't say never. I do think I need a change. I'm a little tired of the ladies. I think I want to do something different. I really think I want to focus on an office type of series. I have so much funny that I could share in that. So I think I want to give that a spin. But like, I can't put these ladies down. There's so many of them, and they all have like a piece and all have a story, and they've become my friends. So I don't know. Maybe there might be another mom book.
So,
maybe.
So have you had people write to you and say, "Well, where's so and so story?" And that wasn't the story you were planning to write? They're like, "What happens to so and so?" And you're like, "I don't know. I didn't plan to do anything." And they're like, "Oh yeah, you have to write about." So-and-so.
Well, that's kind of what happened with this one. I was getting so much feedback going, like, how could Donna have done that? How could she have hurt Jackie like that? After everything that happened, how could she have done everything she did in Mom Jeans? And how could she have done everything she did in Go On Girl? Which made me say to myself, hey, she needs to have her story heard. And then people would reach out to me and also say, like, I didn't think this about this character. What was going on with her head? I never thought she had a career. I never pictured her being a city girl. She really has a good marriage. I thought that was just fake. And it made me realize that people had such misconceptions about the characters based upon what they saw in the other books, because each book takes place from one of the mom's eyes. So really everything that Donna did in these books, did she really do it, or was this just how the other moms interpreted it? Right.
Yeah. Assumption is a terrible thing.
And, it's also really kind of hard because we do it, I know I do it all the time. If I'm friends with you and you have a fight with Jane and you start telling me everything that Jane did, especially if I don't know Jane that well, I'm going to let your opinion of Jane cloud my judgments.
Sure.
And I think that's a lot of what happens in this story.
Yeah. And I think it's hard, too, because, we want to give our friends the benefit of the doubt. We want to. But, again, we also know our friends sometimes that we go, well, yeah, sometimes you do kind of freak out. So it's that gentle balance of saying, okay, well, wait, let's just, we're not going to cancel culture, Debbie, because she didn't like your shirt. So yeah, it's definitely the politics of being a parent sometimes is kind of crazy. Yeah. So you live in Long Island, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So how is it all decorated out right now for the holidays? Is it all looking sparkly?
It's starting to look a little sparkly. It seems less decorated than normal.
Okay.
But I think that's also because I'm not traveling around as much. I basically never leave my house these days.
Sure.
So, it's starting to look a little bit like Christmas, but there's no Christmas feel.
Okay.
Where I live, in the area where I lived, we were hit really hard, really early on with the virus, and I think people are just very, very scared.
Sure, and tired. I'm sure it's exhausting thinking about it, which is why I've been talking to a lot of people over the course of the last several months, and a lot of people have either been watching more Netflix or TV or reading for that wonderful escapism. And
I've also been doing jigsaw puzzles. I think that's another popular one.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, like we were talking about with your creative energy, people are like, oh, well, now I'm home and I can do all this stuff. But that's a whole different vibe when you have to stay home because of something versus you get, things change and you're able to under different circumstances. So tell me, what were some of your inspirations growing up for comedy? Like, what were the things that were just like your go-tos?
Oh, that's a hard question. I guess it was TV.
Mhm.
I mean, I was always a very big TV watcher, which is funny because I barely watch TV now.
Yeah.
But I would watch a lot of TV. I would watch comedians on TV. I probably shouldn't say, but my dad was a big Buddy Hackett fan, so I was watching that as like a 6-year-old girl.
Sure. Yeah.
But not very age appropriate, but
I know. I talk about, I graduated in '86 and from high school, and I was, I'm looking back at some of these movies, and I'm like, wow, I watched that with my dad. That's probably not okay. And, not in a bad way, but it was because, my parents were 60s kids, and so, no big deal, right? We're just going to sit here and talk about whatever. And so it wasn't, it's very interesting. It's very different. But, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I was an only child, so, I didn't have brothers and sisters to, go hang downstairs in the den with and watch, kid-appropriate TV. So I watched whatever my parents watched. So I remember being in, first grade, coming back from lunch, and everyone was talking about Bugs Bunny, and I was saying, "Oh my God, you never know! You can't believe what happened on Young and the Restless today." Because that's what I was watching.
Yeah. I remember watching the very first Saturday Night Live.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That must have been fun.
It was very interesting because I was, that was in '75, so I was 8 or 9, and I'm sure someone's like, you were up that late on a Saturday? I'm like, yes. And of course, Monty Python came on after, which was a little bit more cerebral than what I could understand. My father thought it was hysterical. But with, the original Saturday Night Live. And so I could get some of the skits, like they'd have Land Shark and some of those others. But the commentary on the news, I really didn't know what they were talking about most of the time. So I would just key off my dad, like if he'd laugh, then I'd laugh, type thing. Which I'm, with you watching certain things with your parents like that, comedians and stuff, it's like, oh, that was funny. I don't know what happened.
But it's so funny because I was probably around the same age when my cousins babysat me, and they let me watch Saturday Night Live, too, for the first time. And I remember just laughing. And I don't remember if it was funny, but I remember laughing because they were laughing. And I was up all night. And the next day, they played me really hard. And I never was a sleeper. I still am not a sleeper. And the next day, I fell asleep at 8 o'clock. And I remember my mom, I heard it as I was falling asleep. Sydney, I think she's dying. I think there's something really wrong with this child. She never goes to bed. She's saying she's tired. Oh my God, she must be dead. Wait, should I call a pediatrician?
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. Well, that was different. Yeah. There's a great commercial years ago. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it was a couple that they dropped their kids off. They're probably elementary school age. At the babysitter, and the babysitter takes them to the beach and has them dig holes, and then takes them to this hill, and they run up and down this hill, and they're on the treadmill, and then he takes them back to the beach, and he's like, and it's a car commercial, you can get from here to there, really fast type thing. And then the parents show up, and the kids are just wiped. And they're just like, wow, they must have had fun or something like that. And the guy just basically let them just use up all their energy. So, yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. I could use that.
Yeah,
go back to
I
the
know.
beach and dig some holes.
Right. Let's all dig holes in the sand. It'll be great. Be like Joey, where he goes, look, I dug a big hole, and then all the water comes in. So, yeah.
I'll have to do it again.
So, yes. What were some of your favorite shows growing up?
Well, Young and the Restless.
Okay.
Because, every first grader needs to watch a soap opera.
I stayed with my great-grandma, and we watched, Price is Right. And then you watched All My Children when it was only half an hour. And then, I know, crazy, ancient stuff. And then I think Another World. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was a Channel 2 girl, so I just stayed with I loved Cagney and Lacey. Do you remember Cagney and Lacey?
I do. I love them. Yes.
I wanted to be Mary Beth Lacey so badly.
And then what about comedy-wise?
Comedy-wise, Three's Company. I love Three's Company.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to think. Remember Welcome Back, Kotter?
Oh,
that
yeah.
one was hysterical. I used to like that one a lot.
Yeah. And to think that, that one guy in it was still hanging out and became the big star that he did. Yeah.
Yeah. But like all of them, there was like such great TV shows back then. Like everything was funny.
Yeah.
Did
you ever watch Bewitched?
Love Bewitched.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to be her too. I wanted to be able to wiggle my nose and make wishes. I still do.
I know. I
Back to
totally,
life. I wanted to go to a boarding school.
Right. I'm trying to think what else. There's just so much. That time, TV just really exploded.
And you would just, I remember. Yeah, and I remember just you would have dinner and then watch TV for hours after.
Well, and I think wasn't it that was in the 80s? So when they started to NBC started to dominate Thursday night TV, and it was the Cosby Show started with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
so
a
the
good
Cosby
one.
It was, and we'll just ignore for the moment. We'll just take the reality out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really well done, beautifully set up show, and it was interesting because the Cosby Show. I watched a documentary a while back. The Cosby Show inspired Married with Children because the creators of Married with Children. I remember watching, the guy was saying, people are watching this, and there's people out there that hate this. They hate everything looking great and perfect in this great family. What is the opposite of that? And that's what they created. They created Married with Children.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
That's pretty cool. I never knew that.
Yeah. It was just very interesting to see the dynamic of it. It was very extremely purposeful. So everything was opposite. So yeah, it was that. What else was there? And then there was all these great shows, like in the evening, like the dramas. You had Dynasty and Dallas
and Knots Landing.
Yeah, and so much drama. Like
when Alexis and Crystal went pulling each other's hair out. Oh, those were the good old days.
Yeah, and I'm sure that probably inspired some of your situations in your series with the PTA. It's like, hey, look, it's Alexis and Crystal.
Yeah. They never had a cat fight yet. I think I might have to change that.
Yeah.
A little good hair pulling.
Yeah.
Or maybe I could save that for the Office book, because that happens in my old office. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There was a good cat fight once. Whew.
And it was probably something that the catalyst was probably something minor. That is something that's just been building for a while.
Oh yeah, and it was two of the most unsuspecting people. That when I found out about it, I'm like, you got to be kidding, those two? Yeah.
Wow. It's always very interesting to see what transpires, and then it just, I guess you could call us the note takers of life. We're just gonna, write it all down.
It's so
and then
true. So lots of times I'll go out to dinner, and my husband will be like, Hilary, are you here? And I'm like, shh, I can't hear, shh, because I'm focused on that other table because I'm taking notes.
Right. I'm gonna write this down. And I waited tables before becoming a nurse.
Me too.
It was so it's kind of a similar thing. You're walking into a situation, people coming into a situation they don't know. I mean, it's just obviously one is much different than the other, but yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Well, can I have this but not this, and this but not that?
Oh yeah.
And
the patience level of people. Like, I find, like, when people are sick and when they're hungry, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah. And,
and
Well, and it's funny because everyone went on about When Harry Met Sally, And they're like, oh, it was such a great movie, and I loved it. And friends of mine would say, oh, you wait tables, you'll love this scene. And I'm thinking, no, I won't, because those are the kind of people that spend a lot of my time getting specific, and they don't tip.
Yes.
No.
Yes. That is so true. So in my Plan B and Plan C series, there's one of those women in there, Beatrice Buchanan. When she orders a lunch, oh, my God, you better sit down for this one. With her chicken cubes, not sliced, and the dressing on the side, and no tomatoes, and you just want to split your wrist.
Yeah, I remember I worked at a restaurant. It was called Green, Texas. It's spelled Gruene. It's German, and it was this restaurant that they called the Grist Mill, but it was an old cotton gin, but it'd been there for years, but their kitchen was only so big, so they could only do like 2 different sides, and they had green beans, which they call green beans, and then they'd have green fries, which was round potatoes, but it was French fries, and I remember one time this woman ordered, and I brought her food, and she's like, I didn't order these. And she was talking about the French fries. She goes, I ordered French fries. I said, well, those are green fries. And it's the same thing. She goes, well, they don't look the same. I was like, well, they are, I promise. And then another woman argued with me about, well, the last time I was here, I got a baked potato. I'm like, that wasn't here because we didn't have ovens.
Right.
So,
oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you had the same.
Oh, I had stories like that, but I also had the things that people would do to get a free meal. Would boggle my mind. I once had someone, I watched them take a bug out of a Ziploc bag and put it on their plate to say there was a bug in their food.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not happening.
Yeah. I never had that, but yeah.
I worked in a Friendly's, and I had everything.
Yeah, I had the very first job I had was at a Farrell's ice cream parlor, and that was, you got to wear the outfit to look like a 19-teens Gibson girl type, thing, and you had to. There was a lot of ice cream involved. So yeah.
Did you have to make your own ice cream, or did someone make it for you?
They made. So there was someone in the kitchen that made like the burgers and all the stuff, and then there was somebody behind the counter making sundaes, but we had to learn how in case it was like a slower time and that we didn't have that person there. So yeah, we had to learn it.
Okay, so we had to do all of the ice cream. No one did it for us. So I would be scooping ice cream for like an 8-hour shift, and I would come home covered like just ice cream just attached to me because you'd have to like go in the 6-gallon container of ice cream, and I couldn't touch ice cream for 5 years after I stopped working there. It just turned me off.
Well, and you get great forearms with it, Right. You get great forearms with it, and but if the ice cream is like super frozen, you're waiting like it's trying to chip out cement. So yeah, it's always, we had this thing where they'd have birthday parties there, of course, and there was this one thing that you could order a sundae, a hot fudge sundae, and it came with a pitcher of hot fudge and 30 scoops of ice cream.
Oh, God.
And it was this huge bowl, like a common bowl, and you were supposed to you pour the stuff and you get all the whipped cream on it and everything, and then everybody sings happy birthday, and then you scoop out and give the kids some amounts. But of course, that kid wanted that scoop, and I want that many cherries, and it was like,
oh, yeah. Jim Dandies were my nightmare. So that would be 5 scoops of ice cream and a banana split. And nobody would ever just have a Jim Dandy with vanilla. It would be vanilla, mint chocolate chip, butter pecan, strawberry, and chocolate. And by the time you got to that last scoop, and no one would just have one at the table. It would be 5 of them. It would be 25 scoops of ice cream, and I wanted to cry. Yeah.
Well, I know for the sundaes, like if they have parties, those big ones, they would actually pre-scoop it. So they would already have them, so you would just pop them in the bowl, which they froze. But yeah, And then, it was always, you come home and you're just covered in all sorts of food and grease and, your hair smells and, it's not a fun job. Obviously, you can take lots of notes like you're saying. Yeah, it's a job, but, it gets you to the next step, hopefully. So, yeah.
Oh, I miss it. I always say I want to have a guest shift someplace. I want to wait tables again. Not permanently, just for a few hours, get a few materials.
Right.
And run around a little bit and then go home and never come back.
I think some of it is also, can I still do that? Yes, I can.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that feeling of, are those skills still there? Yes, they are.
Yeah. Once you do it, it's like riding a bike.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's what I tell myself anyway.
Right. Did you, at Friendly's, did you guys serve alcohol at all? Because we don't have Friendly's here. Okay.
No,
so it's like
it was
a burger
like a
place.
typical burger place, ice cream parlor, a lot of kids, very kid friendly.
Okay.
But I was a 16-year-old cocktail waitress at a catering hall. So that was entertaining. So that was fun. So I was 16, not old enough to serve or do anything, but that's how old we were. And I remember we had bartenders, but every once in a while they'd disappear. And some lady at my table asked me for a pina colada. And I knew it was pina colada mix and rum. So I figured, it's so good, I'm going to do it myself. And what did I know? I was 16. So I poured maybe 3/4 of a glass of rum and then a bit of pina colada mix, and I gave it to her, and she was an older woman. I thought I almost killed her. It wasn't pretty.
But she probably had a great time.
Oh, yeah. She was dancing a lot. Loosened her up a little.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I bartended as well, and I remember I was working at a restaurant, and I said, well, I'd like to learn to bartend, and they said, okay, that sounds great, and so they were training me a few shifts, and then the guy who was training me said, okay, well, really it's very slow between 2 and 4, so I'm going to go. And the only people that come in during this time are people that just order beers, whatever, something real simple, margarita machine set up. And no sooner, and I'm not lying, no sooner had he walked out that door, 4 women came in who wanted lemon drops.
Oh, God.
And and I just thought, are you kidding me? And so for anyone who doesn't know, you have to get a frosted glass, you have to sugar the rim, and then you have to squeeze lemon juice and add vodka, so it's like a lemon drop. And they ordered 3 or 4 rounds of those in a couple hours. And I was just like, oh, seriously? Yeah. And then they didn't tip. So.
What is up with that?
Yeah.
That just drives me crazy.
I know. So it's I think a lot of times it's people who have no idea. And to me, it's like you should at least be observant.
How do you not have any idea? Yeah.
Right, but it's just at least be observant, and see the craziness that's going on. And even though I'm the only one, I'm back there for a while making these drinks. It's not like I'm, filing my nails and, making you wait on purpose. So yeah, I think it's just an observance thing. But whatever, I lived through it, and so it's all part of the story. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's great stories. Do you still ever have those recurring nightmares when you're still waiting tables and the food didn't come out? I mean, I still have that.
Yes. From time to time I do. I'm like, yeah. So I sit up and go, okay, that's not reasonable. I'm not doing this again. No.
Yeah.
Oh, so thank you so much for being here today, Hilary. This was wonderful.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
Absolutely. And then you've been on the Holly Jolly, the hop, right? For Chicklet Chat? Yes. So when are you on?
I was on yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay.
So my post is live.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. So if you guys want to go and get in on some really cool giveaways and books and everything else, you need to check out Hilary's Facebook page, and the link will be in the write-up of the show, as well as her Twitter and Instagram and her website and her author page on Amazon where you can get her books. So thank you so much, Hilary. Please come back when that next book is out. Let's talk some more.
Thanks. I would love that.
I would love it. Thank you so much, everybody. This is Patricia W. Fisher with Readers Entertainment Radio. Please keep reading, and please stay safe.
This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions. www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.